Finally. Never getting any work done.
Where's your iPad and phone?
I don't know. Why?
Just making sure it's not somewhere sucking up the. It's not sucking up the.
You've got a very good camera, Dad.
Pardon?
You've got a very good camera.
What do you mean?
It's really high quality and good. I wonder who'll be the first viewer.
Look kind of blown out, don't we?
Blown out, yeah.
Sit here quietly.
Getting into anything yet? No one's watching. I've got something we can do though.
What?
You know the thing about the naughty words. Sorry, you know the naughty words form thingy.
Yeah.
That a few people wanted to see last time. Yeah. Hi, Aaron.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Good evening, Aaron.
Now on air.
Aaron's first up.
The Vanessa O'Neill podcast.
I was watching Aaron today.
Were you?
Yeah.
That's also known as stalking.
He was doing a lot of electrical stuff. I was like, I don't know how.
He's an electrician, that wasn't he?
No, I know that, but I was like lost. I was gone. Okay. But what it was is I was watching actually the guy, the English guy. What's his name? The Amber Project. And his dog's tail got broken by the looks of things. Yeah. His dog has a kink in it. But I was thinking of poor old Charlie. I was thinking, because that's, he said what happened was his dog, not the Charlie's tails obviously being hurt, but just he was saying that
it happened to him.
What's the name of the dog? Lance. And he was saying he said he heard Lance screaming in the woods, like really howling, and he went out and he'd caught his tail in some twigs or something like that, and he was able to undo his tail, but his poor tail had a kink in it, yeah, where it obviously either dislocated one of the bones in your tail. Oh yeah, it's all bones. It's all bones. Yeah, it's bone all the way down to the end.
Why do people cut dogs' tails off?
Doctor tails. For aesthetic reasons, it makes the dog look better because you have like a Doberman and then they have this mad, weird, long black tail. It just aesthetically looks better. And then also they do it for kind of like so the dog's tail can't be caught. It's, you could grab the dog by the tail, but it's very difficult to grab the thing. But yeah, Amber Project, yeah. But yeah, no, that looks a lot of the stuff you're doing today, Aaron, looked very technical. I was like, obviously you're an electrician. That's coming in handy, I'd say. So yeah. So, Laura, good evening, Laura. Christian has something he wants to go through with you, Laura.
No, it's for everyone.
It's for everybody.
When we get all.
The ambulance is all done. Well done.
Nice.
It's all done. So is there a delay with the videos or something like that? Because it looked like you still a lot of work to do. But fair ball to you. Good evening, Mr. Ford. Technology is working tonight.
Is it though? That's the question.
I figured out what I was doing wrong.
What?
He's putting it into the wrong hole.
I had the cable in backwards. Now, it should work. What it is the cable between the camera and the laptop. Because this is a Mac. There's an adapter for USB-C, but I had the USB-C plugged into the camera and I had the cable the other way around, and
you plonker.
Just because it was going backwards, it wouldn't work. But it turned out the camera needed an update anyway, so I did that. Your latest video, I'm listening, Christian.
Yeah.
Oh, 8 weeks. Okay. All right. So yeah. So Aaron's 8 weeks ahead of schedule, if you know what I mean. Speaking of time differences, did anyone watch the Perseverance landing last night? It was amazing. That's the the lunar or the rover that they've landed on Mars. What do you want to do, Christian?
Right, so you know the thing about what we're learning in school that was mentioned last week. Well, I've found it.
Sex ed.
Yeah. And well, you guys wanted me to read it out. I don't really want to read it.
Is his cheeks all red? Go on.
Do I have to read it out?
Read it out and embarrass
I'll read it out. I'll read it out.
Read it out and
Which one
embarrass
will
you,
I
Daddy.
read? The Okay, I'm not gonna read that one. Will I read the little story booklet thingy?
Go on then.
Because the other one's a bit. I don't know which one's the one that I'm meant to be reading.
Anytime today. You should have been prepared.
Dad, do you want to read it? You read it last time. Go on.
I haven't read
That's
this.
not the good one.
I haven't read this.
That's not the funny one.
I haven't read this at all, did I?
Dad, there's the
Tom's
don't
flower
do
power
this.
or power flower. What's flower power? Oh, that's a different thing.
Flower power is a thing. Dad, there's all this other stuff. too.
Okay, Christian, pick one and give it to me.
I don't know because this one is very demonetizable.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't
Demonetizable.
think
It's
you're
not like
really
a.
making a small
Instead of
fortune
making
on it anyway.
millions, instead of making millions. Puberty is the period in your life when the body starts to change and develop to prepare for reproduction. There are many physical and emotional changes that you will experience. Significant changes will occur in both boys and girls, with girls usually noticing the changes earlier. And it was like, write what you know about the physical changes that occur during
No.
puberty.
No.
Spotty skin,
No.
breasts, larger
You
hips,
told me to do that one.
facial hair growing taller. Your voice is deeper.
I
Yeah.
think that's the boys,
Yeah.
not the girls.
Yeah, no, it's very good. The male hormone is called testosterone. The female is estrogen. Ah, yeah. Oh, well.
Showing women's ovaries
Oh.
and reproductive system.
Very good, Kristen. That was a resounding success.
Didn't want to do that.
You did want to do it. You would have brought it down otherwise.
Um,
Can you turn the laptop so I can see? I don't like when you try and hide it off and keep it for
but
yourself.
I was following the Perseverance rover since they launched it last year, and the landing last night. It was the closest thing I would get to. The night I had to go out and get a few beers and popcorn and sit down. It's the closest thing I'd get to sort of like when people relish sitting down to watch a match. That to me was like knowing that your country was in the World Cup and you were sitting down to watch that match. And I was sitting there on the edge of the chair. It wasn't like I watched an hour and a half solid of the end, and then it landed and I was delighted. It was amazing. It's
Yeah, but we
absolutely
didn't get to
amazing
see-
technology.
We didn't get to see it land, and I thought it was a bit kind
No,
of an
they-
anticlimactic.
Well, the footage all has to be sent from Mars, so give them a day or so. You know what I mean? Like it's huge. Like it landed on Mars, and the way it landed was amazing. Look it up, like the Perseverance rover. The
I
way
watched it.
the way it landed, like like just
Amazeballs.
just amazing. Absolutely amazing piece of technology. You know, to think. But anyway, so explains all them spots. Yeah. So did we want to rekindle last week and give you another track at
No.
you're not as cranky as you were last week.
I was
Come on, what do you want to
tired
talk-
last week. I
Why are we
wasn't
tired?
cranky.
Why are we tired?
Well, we'd been up in the woods and walking and whatnot. So I was very tired, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I had only woken up a couple of minutes before we started.
You were very cranky though.
Well, I went to bed straight away, didn't I? As soon as we were
You
finished.
did, yeah. Yeah, you were out of here.
Yeah.
So
Very tired, and then I couldn't sleep. I had a terrible night's sleep. And then I was woke up to you watching the telly at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something.
good evening, Mr. Stafford. You were told nothing and maybe a smack. We dare talk about anything. Yeah. It's all hidden. But
The guy
don't get me
who's,
started on that stuff. So come on now. Now what you were doing last week, right? What I noticed as well, there was a three-way conversation going for most of the thing at one stage. You seem to have a separate conversation, or you're sort of you're
You don't be giving out to my
no,
child.
You're at odds to us. So or else what you're doing is you're chiming in. So we'd have to have a proper
Heaven
conversation.
forbid you be part of anything Christian.
Have to have a proper conversation.
No, don't mind them.
So an update. I'll give you a van update then. Do you want to give the van? You did a van update. Go on.
Well, the van update is there isn't really anything to update on the van. However,
there is an update.
No, there's not. There's an update of a possibility of what will be happening with the van. That's the update. So next week they're going to take it and do the blind. So they I had to email them on Monday, wasn't it? Monday or Tuesday, and asked them had they got the blind in, and they did. So they said it had just come in. So, well,
I nearly knocked that drink over.
Yeah, I know, you're an idiot. And so it had just come in. So what they're going to do is they're going to take it next week, and they're also going to clean the upholstery. Upholstery,
yeah.
Upholstery. Look, my child is gone now. You've upset him.
He'll be back.
Your worst parent ever.
He'll be back.
Worst parent ever. I meant to ask, where's me? It's a boy balloon gun.
Oh, there somewhere.
Oh, is it? Alright. So yeah, they're taking it next one of the days next week.
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, yeah. And then they'll bring it back to us on Thursday evening. So they're
So to recap, they're gonna clean the upholstery and replace the front
blind.
The front blind. The blind that goes across the windscreen on the blind that goes across the windscreen on the passenger side. They're gonna replace that. So I'm curious to get out in the van and put the roof up. Now I did pop it up when we got it back, but to use it and see how it works.
I was only thinking that as well. Actually.
Yeah, and actually, because like I had said in the last video, like folding it was a little bit awkward. But I think I noticed the batteries in the van, the leisure batteries, were quite flat, and I didn't realize why, because we wouldn't be using them a whole lot, and they do hold their charge for a long time, and. I realized, it dawned on me afterwards that I'd say what happened was they were raising and lowering the roof, and it's powered off the leisure batteries. So they would have flattened the batteries and then they wouldn't have plugged her in. So a tip there for people that if they are bringing your van away and they are going to be doing something that uses the leisure batteries, I'd encourage them to plug your van in, because we should have thought of that. It was only when we went away that the batteries were down so low. So if we should have plugged it in.
Yeah.
You know, because we could have been caught short.
Get them to plug it in.
Well, if they're going to be raising and lowering the roof and using up the batteries, because it uses quite a bit of power.
You run the risk then of not giving you your wire back.
Well, you'd assume they'd have their own wire. They'd have to have the power.
I wouldn't
they'd have to have
assume
the power
anything
over
with
there.
them lot.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So that's the thing. So good evening, David. I left a message last week to say I watched that thing about the guy in the phone box. Thank you very much. It was very interesting.
Dad.
Weirdly interesting.
Did anyone?
Dad.
Laura says, "Come back, Christian."
I think she got I think Laura got the jab. Yeah.
Lovely afternoon while the minute after me jab. Oh, well done. Congratulations, Laura. So that's a bit. Well, you're kind of giving away your age there, Laura.
Sure.
She is.
She's in
Could
England.
be a healthcare one.
Are they giving it to? Is there not a kind of age thing though? No. Are they starting with the?
I don't know.
With the senior folks
In
first, and then
Scotland, I
working their way
think.
down. Is it?
Well, she has. I think Laura said that she has a 30-odd-year-old
Yeah,
child
yeah.
anyway. So
I know. I'm just being a little bit facetious.
you're being a brat.
Yeah, but I think the amazing thing is that I'm amazed at how well the British are doing with rolling it out. It's fantastic. Considering how slow the rest of the EU are getting on with it. They made a bit of it. They dropped the ball on that one. There
was a big thing though the other day. Someone was telling me that there's a couple of things. I think this was on the TV or it was a news report or something like that. They paid above and beyond what they needed to pay for it. So that's one thing. And then they've done something with the companies. Can't remember what the word that was used was. But that's another thing, and the EU refused to do it.
What?
Whatever, basically sell or sell to them. Whatever it was, I can't remember.
No, the British government bought into a company. First of all, they invested in a company that was developing the vaccine, so that was really, really clever. And then the second thing is, they speeded up the process of approvals. Yeah,
but no, they've also paid more than they needed to.
Yeah, but I mean, when you consider like it's was it penny rich and pound foolish? Is that the phrase?
Penny rich and pound poor.
No, penny wise and pound foolish, something like that, right? So you consider every day on lockdown and the amount of people at home, and you have to support them at home. It makes sense. It makes sense to buy the vaccine and get it rolled out as quickly as possible.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
We had to
Makes
obviously
sense to have all the
as
news
part
too.
of the EU, Ireland had to we had to, it's a collective negotiation with the EU, but they've admitted they dropped the ball. They've dropped the ball, and meanwhile a quarter or over, must be pushing now a third of the adult population in the UK has been vaccinated, whereas here the last one I saw last week was 80,000 people. I mean, it's 4 million people. You know, they should have just said, you know what we'll do, we'll just inoculate everybody in Ireland. There's 4 million people done. That's like the population of Birmingham. You know?
No, yeah, I suppose.
It'll be great to have the vaccines though, and it'll be great to have our freedom back, won't it? Assuming we get out of global warming. See what's going on in Texas?
Yeah.
That's global warming, you know? And
What's going on in
climate
Texas?
change is the
No.
correct term. Global warming is not the right term anymore. It's climate change. Like, you know, it's amazing to think California is burning down, and then they're getting snow in Texas.
See the icicles hanging off the trees earlier on.
Yeah. And, you know, all the flooding and all that kind of stuff, you know, that's no joke. That's no joke. Wait, you see now, that'll be the next big thing on the agenda. The minute COVID is out of the way, because Brexit's done, the minute COVID is out of the way,
Well, it was the
we'll be
big
back
thing
onto
before that, wasn't
the
it?
environment. Yeah, which it's right. It's right, because when you consider what's going on, you know, with the whole environment. Anyway, I'm talking again.
That's good, you're a talker.
So, not had the jab yet. Mr. Ford has not had the jab. I'll just leave you guys to talk amongst yourselves. She made a big clanger. Van der Leyen. I must be missing something, am I?
No, you talking about-
Yeah, Van der
Yeah,
Leyen.
but to
Yeah,
be fair to her,
she did.
she didn't make that decision on her own.
Who?
To be fair to her.
No, I know, but like they, you know,
Shit rolls uphill sometimes.
no, you know what? You see, the thing about it is that it sort of gives us an insight into maybe how the EU is run. You know, a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of politics. Like, those guys earn serious money, like the money they're on and stuff, you know. So it's a bit of a gravy train. And I know there's a part of the thing for me that when the British were leaving the EU, there was a part of me, because remember at the time when it all kicked off, Ireland was still a little bit, we were given a raw deal by the EU during the crash, the financial crash. So we were kind of like the backs of our hands were, that's what you get. This is your fault. You guys got yourselves into trouble. Now get yourselves out of trouble. And you're kind of going, it's the European Union. And, you know, we were busy borrowing money from the German banks. Not that I'm blaming them, but we were borrowing. We were borrowing money from the German and French banks. And what happened then was they were obviously making their money off the back of us, and nobody was stopping us. And then it was like, we could have burnt them, but the EU said you can't. So we had to pay them back. And that left us in deep doo-doo.
Everyone had to pay everyone back, so.
No, I know, but the point I'm making is that
We should have left.
well, they dropped the ball on this vaccine. You know, you kind of go, it just.
Us and our friends in Britain should have.
Well,
being pals
well,
and
during
together.
during the crisis, we were punished, right? And now the vaccine thing, and they've dropped the ball on that. So you kind of go, you know, for all the kind of, you know, for all the, I suppose, the British hype about the EU and leaving it and the NHS and all that kind of stuff, you kind of.
Let's see what comes out
You
in the
know.
wash, Jay. Let's not make it.
Well,
the
like
rash decision.
it's super delayed now, you know. Go on. What do you want to talk about, Faye? Got a car coming from Texas. It's a roadster, no roof, one big snowball when it turns up. Yeah. It's amazing though, isn't it, to think like the weather that they've gotten over there. And I see in the news then what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, and imagine if we were all, it'd have been worse if we'd somehow gone solar and everything like that, and if they had they'd gone green. they're kind of saying it could be worse, and you kind of go, could be worse than what?
Mm.
How could you could have negative power? You know, it doesn't make, anyway, I'm going negative on this one. So come on.
I told you already.
I'm not letting you off the hook.
I told you already I wasn't doing that. So
why not? Why won't you talk?
I am talking.
You're not talking, V. I'm always talking now, and this is your podcast, and I'm getting tired of talking. I'm sure people are getting tired of listening to me. I'm absolutely positive.
You talk and I chime in, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, but I want to. What about a bit of equality here, where you talk and I can chime in
in the kitchen?
Like what?
Like you cooking and cleaning a little bit. Let's have a bit of equality there if you want to start somewhere.
Excuse me, I do.
I do the bins.
I do the bins.
The other day you were going on about doing the bins and then you just left it on the
I know,
on the
and
counter.
I had to do the bin.
The full bin, the full dirty food bin you left on the counter.
Guys.
And you went and made yourself a pancake instead of doing the bins.
Guys, when I logged on to the computer this morning before 8:30, what were you doing, V? What were you doing?
Sitting drinking a cup of coffee.
Sitting drinking a cup of coffee, lying in bed. What were you doing, son? What were you doing?
I was sitting down with you while you were
scratching your hole, doing nothing. Yeah. Well, I was doing what all day?
What?
Working.
Watching YouTube.
No, work. That's for research. That's research. I was working. I was working all day doing stuff, and I had a bunch of meetings and doing stuff all day. So forgive me for not, doing some chores around the house.
While you were sitting in the sitting room all day long doing your work, the floors swept themselves, and the lunches made themselves, and the coffees made themselves, and the dinner made itself, and the washing washed itself, and the drying dried itself, and the clothes put themselves away.
Yeah, I'm not. But I didn't say you did nothing. I'm just saying.
You just told the world that when you started work at 8:30,
I know, but you got up and you decided to do those things at your own leisure, and then you're like, I think I'll go up and have a little nap. Like, I can't do any of those things. I'm tied to that computer from 8:30 to 5:30, working away.
That's the choice you made.
But that's the point. That's the point I'm making. Well, I'd give it up in the morning, but I mean, we'd have to give up the house.
Grant, we live.
And
we'd
have to give up. We'd have to give up loads of other stuff. We live in the van.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I suppose we can do that now that we own it. We could go full-time van life. You know what I mean? We might get loads of subs then. What do you think? I'd say people will watch that. I was watching the Amber Project, and he's digging out. He's getting the place, and again, I love him now. I'm not knocking him in any way. Again, I was watching this video, and I was kind of going, I'm wondering now, will this hold people's interest in gardening, basically? Now, I love him. I'm not knocking him. I hope it does. I hope it does hold people's interest, because I think I really admire him, but I just think, I wonder, will it hold people's interest?
Well, he'll probably lose people and get a different audience, you know.
Well, I think
people might be interested in going if he does like a caravan park on his, people going and staying.
Well, I'd say he's in a bit of a transition. He's probably in some kind of transitionary period, because you see, he was always, well, I'm going to say itinerant. That's not right, is it? He was always nomadic. Yeah, nomadic. What's itinerant mean?
Traveller.
Well, that means without a house, is it? Will you leave me here alone?
It's another word for traveller.
No, itinerant means something. It doesn't mean traveller. An itinerant means something. It means, I'm assuming it comes from like the root of itinerary, and you're something. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, yeah, nomadic was the word I was thinking of. That he's usually more nomadic. Not only that, he seems happy.
Imagine.
And that does not work for YouTube.
No.
Aaron, when you're doing your video now, you need to be sure to chop off a finger or electrocute yourself. You'll get massive views then. But I think it'll be interesting to see, because he seems really happy at the moment. So obviously during the summer, if the whole place goes on fire, that'll. Now I'm being cynical, and again, I am not knocking that guy. I have nothing but admiration for him, and I think he's brilliant. And I've watched him. I think I've watched him since he had maybe 4,000 or 5,000 subs. You know?
We do like Foresty Forest.
Foresty Forest. Yeah, he's excellent. Yeah,
I love his crock pot. I don't know why.
I do like that guy too. Everyone likes his crock pot. He's like, I'm amazed at him. Like he's like Aaron. I'm gonna say he's like Aaron, multi-talented, a lot of skills and abilities.
Some people are just really, really good at doing certain things.
Yeah,
so.
But Aaron, you don't show off enough of your skills because Aaron is a photographer, electrician,
DJ,
radio guy. Yeah, you probably should. Well, I don't know how you'd cram that all into one video, but
you have your own use as well.
do I?
You put out the bins.
You wouldn't get a channel out of that though.
No.
I'd give it a go.
You're good at popping the roof up and down.
I'd give it a go. No, what was I going to say? Your man Foresty Forest, like he's a great cook, but like again, the thing that impresses me, like with Aaron's videos there earlier, watching it, the technical know-how, and this guy is self-taught. He doesn't go on about his history or anything like that. I don't really know anything about him, but he has.
But
the stuff he does.
He does always just say thanks for keeping me out of factories to Patreon.
He's
so
Patreon, yeah.
Obviously, he's just kind of like a labourer or something.
Genius, living in a van, genius. You know, on his own.
Would you try it? Not in our van, I wouldn't. It's too small.
Well, he lives in less.
I know.
He lives in less. Live in a van. Well, at his age, he's probably in his 30s. No, I'd be too insecure. I'd be like, what happens when I'm 65 or 70? You know, now that's the wrong, again, I don't want to get on the road where we were last week, right? But I think that I have the wrong approach. He's the right approach, definitely. But I think I'm too much of a chicken.
I'd like to give it a go, but I'd want to be somewhere warm doing it. I'd want to be on the continent somewhere doing it. I wouldn't want to be here in Ireland trying to live in a van.
I don't know. I can see these comments going up. Got the car. Yeah. So Laura wants to know, how's the bump coming along? It's getting bigger, isn't it?
Getting bigger.
That'll be interesting when we have the baby, won't it? You should set up a video channel about having babies. I'll be sure to bring the camera in when you're having him.
You will, and you're.
You know what I mean?
You wouldn't be allowed.
I'll blur it all out. What do you mean?
They don't let you do stuff like that in.
What?
The labour ward.
Of course, you can bring in a camera.
Not if I get a section.
I'm not going to. I mean, no, I wouldn't. I suppose you could set up a camera on a tripod, but no, you want to be totally focused on the day. You don't want to miss. That's kind of, it's kind of, yeah. See, a camera on a tripod would be ideal because you'd capture the moment, but you'd be there and you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I think you have to.
You might get into a nurse's way though.
But you have to be in the moment. You have. That's one of the things you have to experience the thing, right? So, lovely. I love a domestic. Evening, Rory. So, at least you didn't say. You can't say that, Laura. You can't say that. I listen to Aaron's voice all day. I do a good impression of Aaron, don't I? Aaron loves when I do an impression of him. Don't even understand what he talks about. Thanks, Laura. I would love to live in the van for a year at least, but not in Ireland. Yeah. Where will the bump be? Norm.
Born, I think it's supposed
born,
to be.
yeah. Rotunda. Rotunda. Yeah. Not in Ireland though. Why not in Ireland, Aaron? Too small, I'd say. Is it too small? And too many restrictions.
Very restrictions.
Too many restrictions. You get moved on, and there's not enough to see. I mean, if you were going to spend a year driving around the continent, it'd be fantastic. Do you know what I'd love to do? I watch from time to time.
Aaron said you don't do a good impression of him.
Okay. I can't do it now.
Hello.
Hello. I can't do it now. I've lost it. Sorry, Aaron. I've lost it. You're right. Too cold and wet. Yeah, that's true as well. But there was these guys, and they drove across. They drove to China from Europe. That was very interesting in a Peugeot.
Say it right.
Well,
China.
They drove to China. It was very interesting to see follow their whole. But they drove in a Peugeot, and they'd camp overnight. So we have this fear. We have this thing that we drive outside the EU. It's like mayhem and stuff like that. Now they had a certain amount of headaches and everything like that, and in certain countries they were milked for tickets and stuff like that as well. But these people were kind of like looking for, $10 off them, and the cops had pulled them over, and they got a ticket for the car being too dusty and stuff like that. And what they'd say is they try and say, oh, it's $100 fine, and they'd go, we'll give you 10, and they go, oh, okay, because $10 is a lot to them and stuff like that. But they couldn't drive into China. They got to the border and then sold the car for $400, and then they crossed into China and flew home. It's just trying to get visas and stuff, and that it's just too awkward, and bringing the car in and everything like that. And then I suppose trying to drive across China, but it's quite interesting. And their videos were done basically. They didn't have a whole lot of video. It was photographs, and then this guy would just talk about what he saw and explain things. But it was done very well.
I'd love to see the wall.
The Great Wall, which isn't visible from space.
No,
it's a myth.
Did you get the lads last night to check that out for you?
No, I knew that it's not visible from space. What are the lads? The astronauts. How are we doing for time?
You've only half an hour done.
So, what do you want to talk about? Do you not want to talk about your coaching and stuff like that? See, the thing that drives me mad, right? And Laura, you're going to love this because it's going to start to Barney, right? All together. But the thing that drives me mad, right, is that you've so much interesting stuff going on in your life, but you put it all on me, and I'm boring in comparison.
You're the conversationalist.
I know, but there's such a thing as being boring, and I can be boring. I know that. I'm conscious of it. And I feel like I'm being forced to talk. And I don't like that, because then I start getting conscious of what I'm talking about, and then I get kind of wooden. And I don't like that either, because I know that definitely comes across as dull and boring. So you're doing so much interesting stuff. You know, you're doing that coaching thing, right? You could explain to me, or you suggested to me during the week that I could possibly pick up start doing coaching. It'd be interesting to talk to people why you think you're doing it, and why do you think I could do it, and what would your dreams be around doing coaching and all that. And the people know what coaching is, you know, that kind of life coaching. You know, now there are people who kind of look down their nose at it, you know that. There are people kind of go, life coach.
Sure, you did that.
What? Well,
you did it when I said I was doing it.
Yeah, but I'm trying to be supportive. Well, no, I'll tell you why I do that, right?
Tony Robbins is the reason why people look down their nose.
No, it's not. The people who look down their noses at life coaches don't understand they don't understand what a life coach is for and why they might need one. And I'm the same. I was like, what do you need a life coach for?
Oh no, you were saying it yesterday when we were talking.
I still don't understand it though. I still don't understand why people can't figure stuff out for themselves.
Because some people have all the tools, but they're just not capable of kind of getting from A to B.
Well, I think really a life coach is just someone to talk to.
It's more like a sounding board.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
No, let's have a conversation.
Well then.
Because you know I prefer that way. So you ask me the question and then I'll give you the
No,
answer.
because that's me talking again. Come on. What, a sounding board. Go on.
So it's more like somebody that can... So I suppose to use the analogy that was used for me the other day when I was doing my exam.
Yeah.
Is that it's a... Stop doing that. That
It
is
just
really annoying.
It sounds better when you talk into the
really
mic.
annoying.
It sounds really good. Talk into the mic like this. Because I listen to it later. It's quite sexy. Go on, say something to me sexy so I can listen to it later. Go on, say something sexy. Come on. Say something sexy, Vanessa. Don't say something sexy, Vanessa.
No. You're a brat now and I'm not doing what you want me to do.
Go on.
So what it is I suppose it's a partnership between two people, but if somebody's coming in from a life coach, it means that they're probably stuck with a scenario that they're not happy with, or they can't figure out on their own how to get out of, or like they need help with a career path or a relationship or
anything, is it?
Anything really, addiction, anything, behavioral issues, anything
Didn't know
like
that.
at all. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So when I qualify, I'm a broad life coach and a business coach.
A generalist.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, then I can venture into parenting. And these are all little additional branches that you can do, little kind of weekend courses.
Yeah.
So then, like, addiction would be where I would like to go.
Oh, why? Why addiction?
Well, I suppose for me, because of where I grew up, like there was no addiction. I suppose there was no addiction in my family, my immediate family, but there was in my broader family. and I saw the effects that it has, and I still haven't now. And I just think that if people had been more aware of issues and kind of how to deal with certain things, that their lives may have turned out differently.
Like what?
You know? What do you mean, like what?
Like, give us an example. You don't have to name names, but just give us an example.
Name names. Well, I suppose people
Do what?
people kind of breaking the cycle. You know, like getting stuck in the same scenario that their parents were stuck in because that's what they thought life was, but not having any aspirations to, or not having the wherewithal to figure out how to get out of that.
Right, go on.
You know, like, so in bad marriages or bad relationship, or single parent, end up being a young single parent, or feeling that that's just what that's your lot in life because that was their lot in life.
Well,
You know?
how would you help somebody? I'd be curious now. How would you help? A friend of mine is in a terrible marriage. Like, he's married to an awful woman altogether, and she's recently pregnant, and
and he puts out the bins.
he's looking for an out. He's a great guy. He is a great, and I love him. Right? He's a perfect guy, and he's looking for an out. No, seriously though, how would you help somebody as a life coach? How would you help somebody with their marriage?
Well, I haven't got into that yet.
Oh,
I haven't got there, and to be honest with you, that doesn't really appeal to me. So you can do a relationship
because you have the perfect
one,
marriage,
obviously. Well, I'd always be wary of getting involved in relationships, you know, that way. Obviously, I haven't got the experience, so, but maybe in 5 or 6 years' time, I might change my mind.
Well, but is it not? You see, in my mind, you can substitute whatever it is. Like, it'd be drugs, alcohol, a husband or a wife, sex, whatever. It's all this. I think from a life coaching perspective, I don't know, I'm not qualified or anything like that, but my understanding would be that it's, you know, if someone's having marital problems,
A problem is a problem, like,
yeah, precisely.
yeah, not really,
Oh.
because the problem is that particular person's problem. So the secret is you coach the person, not the goal. You know that? So what you do is, like, if you came to me and said,
you coach the person,
not the goal.
What does that mean?
So you understand the person and get them to understand themselves as to why it is that they're in this marriage, or that they want to get out of the marriage. And then they might actually, like what I was saying to you earlier on, that people break up with marriages because they live in the now.
Oh yeah.
And they don't think of the past, or they don't think of the future. So they kind of just walk away because they've had a bad week or a bad couple of months or something like that, where there might be something that there's an issue there, but they're not digging down to find out what the issue was. You know, so coaching helps you to figure out what the issue is and see, is there a way forward. You know? And that's what it does. So all I really do is kind of ask questions.
Probe.
Yeah. Be curious, and
But you're not allowed to tell the person
you're not
what
allowed
to
lead the witness. No.
which is what the training is about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Vanessa does video. They record it and then play it back, and isn't it? They coach on all that kind of stuff about, because obviously the thing we struggle with the most, I think, as people is when I did that, or this is what happened to me, or wait and I tell you, or my advice is,
well, they
really,
say don't rob the other person's microphone. So if somebody is saying to you, oh, I don't know, my kid's gone through a really bad time and I'm devastated over it. And what most people will say is, oh, I remember when my Johnny was going through. And that's stealing their microphone. So you don't do that. So you sit and listen to them with empathy, not sympathy as well. So you sit and you listen to them, and actually listen to what they're saying, and pick up on certain words that they're saying as well. If there's certain things that you think might be kind of you might be curious about it and they mightn't realise, say if they've used a word 3 or 4 different times in the conversation, you can say, look, I'm just going to pause you there for a second and I'm just going to ask you, when you say this word or particular body language, when you're talking about that, your body language changes. Can you explain that to me? Are you aware of it? Can you explain it to me?
And so you see, but that's why I think that's the point I'm saying, is that you're paying somebody to listen to you. Obviously, they're an expert in how to listen and how to advise. But really, what you're paying for, in a nutshell, is somebody who's impartial.
Yeah. Oh, it's and non-judgmental. Somebody that's not going to say to you, well, what you should do is.
Yeah.
You know.
Which it's an interesting thing for me, in that I think now I'm nearly 50. And I'd say in my 30s, I started to understand. I always remember talking to somebody one time. You know, these people you come across who look for advice, but don't take it at all.
And look for advice off everybody.
Yeah. And they go around kind of looking for advice, and they earnestly talk to you. You earnestly look to help them, and they earnestly walk away, and then they earnestly tell the next idiot on the bus, and you're like, wait a minute, what? So it took me a long time to realize that life is full of people like that, and we probably do it ourselves, if I'm honest. You know, because what you're trying to do is, a burden shared is a burden halved, isn't that what they say?
Problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah. So I think then you kind of realize then. Now, usually the thing that throws me is when it's somebody who's telling me a lot of stuff who I don't really know, because what I tend to do is I tend to listen to people who I don't know, right? Because I'm curious and I'm interested in what they're saying. But I think if I get to know you, I'll probably advise you more. And I think what you're paying for with a counsellor or a coach is somebody to sit and just basically to listen to you, because my experience of these kind of things is that nothing helps you more than listening to yourself saying something out, and then you can hear yourself saying it. That's what Freud was all about. That's why it was called the talk and cure, because the whole idea was that you sat there and talked about things, and then you could hear what you were saying, and then that gave you, like what you were saying the other day, about
gives you an insight as well.
What were you saying the other day from what was his name? You know your man?
Chopra. Yeah,
Deepak Chopra. That was an interesting quote. You should bring your quotes to these things. These would be quite interesting. But basically, what was he saying? He was saying something very interesting.
Oh, about squeezing your happiness, and I'd need to read it again.
You should get it. It's worth reading.
Christian, go up to Mommy's locker.
It's worth reading. It's worth hearing it, because
the 2 books, will you?
Because it was so good. In the meantime,
get the 2 books.
In the meantime, does anyone find this sexy? Does anyone when I talk like this? No.
2 books that are sitting on my bedside locker.
So is it a paid job? It is a paid job. It is
paid.
paid. And good evening, Will C. So you can't say get a grip and stop over analyzing.
No, you can't, because that's something that somebody in your family would say to you, which is not very helpful at all.
Well, there's a very simple nobody, and I remember the first time I heard this, I thought it's so true. But
Is this what I told you?
Nobody who was ever told to calm down.
Just calm down.
Calm down. And you're like going, yeah, exactly. You don't. You don't, like, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Clearly, when you're saying to a person to calm down and they're worked up, they're not going to listen. The thing to do is just
slap them in the face.
Well, really, the thing for you is to kind of calm down, I think.
No, the thing for you is to sit and to listen to them.
Yeah.
Okay, this could take a minute.
So Vanessa suggested that I take up coaching, and that not me, that I pay someone, because clearly it's not that I don't believe in it. I just prefer to figure it out for myself. But she was suggesting that maybe I do, which I thought was quite interesting. And I'm not sure. I'm going to think about it. The next time I can sign up for it is, I could sign up for it in the summer, couldn't you? But with the baby due, it's just too awkward. But I'm kind of thinking about maybe I might do it, but I'm not sure. I have reservations about myself about coaching people. I wouldn't be.
Well, you said to me exactly what Laura said there.
What?
So you can't say to somebody to get a grip.
And I thought Laura was right. So but we can be in danger of over analyzing. Yeah. But I get
but
well, I just make this point. People say to me that I overanalyze and I think too much, right? But really, from my perspective, Laura, is that I think that people underthink about the right things, and I think what happens is that we think about loads of stuff, but we don't think about the right stuff. And I think what I tend to do is I tend to try and think about what I consider to be the right things. But that's kind of interesting. Where was it? I'm thinking about it. You should have marked that. You should have bent the dog ear that because that was very good. Very good comment. You seem to be focusing on that page a lot. Is that it?
I can remember reading it from this side.
Oh really? Should we? Well, you kind of have a route through it, and we can come back to it. No, you talk now. So
well, I went to there, and you went, just let me finish this. So, did anyone else cop that?
What?
No, you see, I suppose, Laura, just going back to your point there, somebody who is coming to coach and probably wouldn't be coming because they're overanalyzing things. They would most likely be coming because they're a little bit stuck or a little bit lost, we'll say, in their way forward. Overanalyzing is probably more, well, it's a personality trait for a start. And it's probably more something that they would go to a counsellor for. And coaching is present future and counselling is present past.
What? Say that again.
So coaching is present future based.
Coaching is present future.
And counselling and psychotherapy, anything like that, is present past based.
Right.
So
it's retrospective.
Yeah. And I'm like this because of what happened to me. Whereas coaching is, I'm like this, but I want to move forward.
Right.
Right.
How are you aiming? Just finished work to catch the end. I'll rewind the tape and I'll give you a full recap. But yeah, has anyone done? I'd be interested to know, has anyone done coaching? I knew someone. You see the thing for me. Part of the reason I scoff at life coaching is because I know somebody who trained.
Here we go.
Let me finish the point. I know somebody who trained to become a life coach, and a bigger bell end you couldn't have met. I mean, I knew this guy, and I was thinking. I see what I thought. Okay, any Egypt can obviously train to be a life coach,
well, there you go.
and have a qualification. But I remember thinking, what kind of life coaching would this guy give you? And then I was very skeptical because I was kind of thinking, okay, attracted a certain type. To qualify that, the thing for me was, and I've used this example a lot of times before, I would have had a lot of respect for teachers when I was in school. But when I went to university and I started hanging around with trainee teachers, I went, that explains a lot, because I started to see the other side. I started to see them as human beings, and flawed human beings at that. So it started to explain to me, it wasn't that I was a problem in the class or the kids were all reckless and doing what they were doing. It was just that this teacher was not cut out to be a good teacher. And the kids in the class and the parents would have been blaming themselves because the teacher being the teacher. But it was only when I started hanging around with teachers and got to know them that you realised, I think we forget that they're human beings as well and flawed, so. Yeah,
but we were brought up to think that they weren't human beings and they weren't flawed. That's why.
Well, no, what teachers like certain people that you work with and so on, or the police. They don't show you that goofy side of their persona because they have to maintain control, right? Whereas when you're in college and you see them and you're kind of going, and the thing is, the bulk of them that I knew who were trainee teachers were basically
luscious.
No, they were they were fucking Egypts, like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember like going,
Well, to be fair, they weren't Egypts because the amount of points you need to become a teacher.
No, look, anyone.
They were living their best life.
No, the Irish Leaving Cert is a game and can be gamed. If you go in and learn everything off by rote and study past papers and stuff like that as well, you can learn the Irish Leaving Cert. It doesn't mean you have to be clever, because the Leaving Cert, the criticism of the Irish Leaving Cert is that you can learn, and the whole thing about, say, an infinite number of monkeys and an infinite number of typewriters, they'll eventually come up with the works of Shakespeare. You can be a teacher and not cut out to do the job.
Oh no, I know that.
I rest my case. Not all teachers, obviously, but the majority of them.
Christian had an absolutely amazing teacher last year.
Yeah, he's a brilliant teacher.
Well, just remember now, Rory is a teacher.
Except Rory, obviously.
Hope he's gone now so that he doesn't have to hear your babble. Okay, so when you are constantly evaluating, classifying, labeling, analyzing, you create a lot of turbulence in your internal dialogue. This turbulence constricts the flow of energy between you and the field of pure potentiality. You literally squeeze the gap between thoughts. I thought that was very
Can I read it?
No.
Come on. Let me read it. I've lost the page now.
Oh, because I didn't. I put a big thing around.
I'm going to read it sexy.
Well,
not sexy. So let me read this, because I have to read it for myself, right?
And then on the other side, I'm reading a book about the how to change your mind on the new science of psychedelics. So one is deeply spiritual and the other is about drugs. Which is also deeply spiritual, actually.
This is no ordinary camping channel. This is a very unique camping channel. Nobody gets this kind of level of stuff. So let me see. So when you are constantly, so this is I love this, right? This is definitely going to be my favorite comment. When you are constantly evaluating, classifying, labeling, analyzing, right? So that's so many people. You create a lot of turbulence in your internal dialogue. So true for me, anyway. This turbulence constricts the flow of energy between you and the field of pure potentiality. This is the bit I love. I love this bit. You literally squeeze the gap between thoughts. I think that's fantastic.
Fantastic.
That is my favorite. Will you stop hitting the mic? That's my favorite comment or quote of all time. That alone would make me want to become a life coach.
Self-power is therefore true power.
Self-power is therefore.
Do you know? You sound like, I feel like I'm on Oprah's Super Soul.
Am I Oprah?
Yeah.
What does she do? Hello! That's what she does, isn't it? Hello! Doesn't she?
Yeah.
Oh!
So she what she does is when Eckhart is reading out something out of his book, she goes, okay, and she'll stop him, and then she'll go.
Yeah, because you're like Eckhart. You just read it, whereas you don't realize, for the rest of us poor plebs, the resonance it has. It's like, wait a minute, what? You know what I mean? Anyway, let's have a look. Let's see. David Stafford says, would you need to offload some of that after a while? Imagine it could be heavy going.
No.
Whoa, straight out the gap, bang.
Well,
let me just think about that.
I'm not the type of person that takes other people's on board anyway.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Talk about lonely and isolated.
But no, I will obviously have to get my own coach when I'm practicing kind of daily, we'll say. But no, and that will be more as a supervisory capacity, to make sure that what I'm doing is I'm still kind of coaching to the best of my ability. But no, I think if you were counselling, David, yes, I absolutely think you probably would. But no, not for coaching, because you're supposed to leave, and I have been very good at doing it so far, leave your own issues at the door. Sit with the client. And like I was saying earlier on, sit with them in empathy, not sympathy. I see sympathy, when you're sympathetic towards somebody, that's where you get emotionally involved. So no would be the answer for me.
Well,
I think it will take a lot for me to kind of, for it to weigh heavy on me.
Well, you'll find out.
Yeah.
You're going to find out once you start doing it for real.
Mm.
As long as it doesn't affect what you're cooking and cleaning and chores around the house. I don't mind. I don't mind. You can do all that crying. It won't bother me. So I understand the point though, I think, because again, my understanding, I did a lot of studying of this kind of stuff, and I think my understanding is psychiatrists and psychologists and people like that have to have their own psychologist or psychiatrist.
You have to have a supervisor as well.
Yeah, they have to, because they have to go, because we have our own internal biases and we can get locked. And they also think they have to be careful of. This is what you're going to have to be careful of. I know if I took it up, I'd have to be careful of it as well.
Someone falling in love with them.
Yeah. That's no joking. Well, can't blame them with me, but
well,
it is.
I predominantly only work with women in, obviously, coaching.
Well, women can fall in love with you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I know you're just like mad about the heterosexual males, big studs and stuff like that. But you have to be conscious of that. No, but not only that, you have to be conscious that you could fall in love with somebody. You have to. So you have to go and explore your own feelings. So you might have to go to somebody and say, I'm feeling this way towards that person, because we become blinded. So you have to be careful of that. You don't, become enamored with somebody. Imagine like a David Beckham or
he just need to not talk.
What's his name?
Daniel Craig. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Oh, sorry, Jay, you're gone.
No, if Tom Hardy come on.
If Tom Hardy came on, I'm on too.
I'd be sitting on with him. I was going, hey, Tom, can I listen in? I'm running away with your wife. All right, I wouldn't mind.
Yes.
Tom. So yeah, no, they are things you have to be. Do some people get life coaching when they retire from work?
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably when you need it, coming up to retirement. Good point. We'll see. I like that. No coaching, but counselling. What a waste of time for me. So Laura, you'll have to expand on that one. That's very interesting.
That could have been the counsellor though, Laura. That you didn't connect.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That is good. Yeah.
It could have been. No, it might not have been. It just might not, because it doesn't work for everyone. But what we do is we kind of have to do a rapport call. So just to make sure that there's chemistry between client and coach. And if you don't feel it, you refer them to somebody else. Because it's unfair on the client.
Well, I've heard that as well. If you go to a counsellor and stuff like that as well, they do say, I was watching videos about these counsellors on YouTube and everything, and they're saying that if you go and you don't feel you're happy, you should look for a referral and go to someone else, because there are different styles of people, so it are interesting. So yeah, Eamon is saying, I was married to one, presumably a teacher, and my daughter and son-in-law are teachers too. Yeah, so yeah, and I was tongue-in-cheek slagging them all, but the point I was making was that there are brilliant teachers out there. Again, I've used the example. I really struggled with maths, and I got, again, Alice Ash. I'll never forget her name, Alice Ash. She was a little firecracker. She was a brilliant teacher and unlocked in my brain maths and saved me. I would have ended up it was just brilliant. Just absolutely, and then he the teacher as well down in his school, wasn't it? Another fantastic teacher. There are fantastic teachers out there, but there's also some duds. But that's the way. That's life. 20 years ago, I'd have said bollocks. No. The older I get, the more I get. Is it wisdom? Is it?
Get it.
Oh, get it. Ah, yeah. Well, they say it does come with. Did you say that out loud? Did I say what out loud? Oh yeah, love that bit. It's how it was allocated.
I don't know what he means by that.
How what was allocated, Ginger? Because he could be talking about something earlier. So that's the problem with the stream.
Oh, I'd say he's talking about the vaccines.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How it was allocated in Ireland, or how it was allocated in the UK? Oh, well, yeah. Don't get me started on that. I liken us all to a flock. I'm feeling. Before I finish this now, I feel it's a joke, right? I liken us all to a flock of starlings. We think we have free will, but we're affected by outside. How many times have you met someone and thought, he reminds you and looks like someone else? Clearly not a joke, but very, very deep. Very deep. I like that.
And that's
I
true.
like that.
There are
Yeah,
people
I like
that remind you of other people, and either you like them immediately or you can't take to them.
Yeah.
There are people that
Yeah.
there's just something in their personality that reminds you of somebody else, and you just can't take to them, or you really, really like them.
Yeah. Well, I see the Starling thing, and so obviously a murmuration. That's the way, right? And then people are the same. Yeah, and we're drawn to people who remind us of ourselves or physically look like.
That's where that saying came from. Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, yeah, but that's quite interesting. But I think it is interesting the way you don't like people, isn't it? Initially, and you get they say you should trust your gut instinct, and it's very. I do now. I do. My gut instinct says to me, anytime I've ignored it, I've paid the price. So trust your gut instinct. We are almost out of time, so that's that. We'll.
It was a bit of a mad old conversation, wasn't
But
it?
they always are, because you see, the thing is, I have to put in the topic, right? Don't forget, these podcasts are also available on Spotify. I have to say that because we're paying for Spotify, and I like having stuff on Spotify, but people haven't discovered it yet. So if people like Spotify, if people are using Spotify, we've 8 followers now on Spotify, which is good.
Jesus.
Well, I have a suspicion it's a load of people in here now just being nice to me, because you're a nice bunch. We like you, don't we?
We'll keep them.
We do, yeah. This is my therapy. This is my therapy. So interesting. But I like this. I like to see once you got talking, it was fascinating. Well, I have to admit now, once you got talking, brilliant. So you should talk more, because you're far more interesting to me, and I say that with all honesty. You've kept me occupied for all these years.
You've kept me occupied, trust me.
I spent the first 10 of it laughing at you, but then I started to take you serious. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see you guys.
Don't see you through the week. See you through the window.
Yeah, we'll see you.
The only way we'll be bloody seeing anyone.
I'm going to put a comment up, because I always forget to comment and say thanks for everybody for watching. If people would like to leave a thumbs up.
Yeah, stay safe, everybody.
Thanks for watching. A like.
And a like. Give them a like, will you?
Yeah. I do kind of look at the algorithm thing, but I've given up on it now, to be honest.
I need to have a wee. Will you come on?
I'm going. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next Friday.
Humph.
And you can talk again next Friday.
Can I?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm gonna go. 2 likes. Thank you. Where's this thing for stopping this?